Motorcycle manufacturers don't want you to know that their revolutionary designs can bankrupt entire companies. What if I told you that the bike advertised as groundbreaking will destroy its own manufacturer within just 2 years? That's not corporate propaganda. One terrible product decision and century-old companies vanish forever. Imagine spending millions developing what looks like the perfect motorcycle, only to discover it's designed by people who clearly never understood their own customers. In this video, I'm counting down the 13 motorcycles that literally killed their own brands in 2025. And trust me, number 1 might shock you. It's so catastrophically bad that it nearly bankrupted one of Japan's largest manufacturers overnight. Stick with me to the end, because this isn't just motorcycle history. It's your corporate survival guide to avoid the design disasters that masquerade as innovation. Number 13, Aerial Leader, 1958 to 1965. The Aerial Leader promised to revolutionize motorcycling with full weather protection and enclosed bodywork that would attract a broader audience to riding. The engineering was brilliant, featuring a twin-cylinder, 2-stroke engine, telescopic front forks, and complete weather protection that made perfect sense on paper. But innovation without market understanding becomes expensive suicide. Aerial built the Leader as a fully enclosed motorcycle that looked more like a scooter than a traditional bike. The concept seemed logical: protect riders from weather, reduce maintenance requirements, and create a civilized riding experience that could appeal to commuters and casual riders. But traditional motorcyclists absolutely hated it. The enclosed design that was supposed to attract new riders instead alienated existing customers who wanted their motorcycles to look and feel like motorcycles. The weather protection that seemed so practical made the bike feel claustrophobic to riders accustomed to open-air experiences. Worse yet, the sophisticated engineering made the Leader expensive to manufacture and even more expensive to purchase. In an era when riders prioritize value over convenience, the Leader's premium pricing put it out of reach for most potential customers. Consumer reports from the era criticized the Leader's high cost and unconventional appearance. Motorcycle magazines praised its innovation, but questioned its market viability. Dealers struggled to sell a motorcycle that confused potential buyers who couldn't understand what market it was supposed to serve. Sales never approached the levels Aerial needed to recover massive development costs. The Leader's failure contributed directly to Aerial's closure in 1967, proving that even brilliant engineering becomes worthless without market acceptance. Number 12, Kagava Raptor, 2000 to 2012. The Kagava Raptor wasn't a bad motorcycle by any objective measure. It offered reasonable performance, distinctive Italian styling, and competitive pricing that should have attracted buyers in the growing naked bike segment. But sometimes being adequate isn't enough when your company is bleeding money and desperately needs a hit. Kagava released the Raptor during a period of severe financial instability that made every model a make-or-break proposition. The company needed a motorcycle that could generate significant revenue and restore market confidence. Instead, they got a competent but unremarkable bike that appealed to a limited audience. The Raptor featured a V-twin engine derived from Suzuki, packaged in a distinctive naked bike format with aggressive styling. The motorcycle looked unmistakably Italian, with sharp lines and bold graphics that stood out from Japanese competitors. But the Raptor competed in an increasingly crowded naked bike market dominated by established players with superior dealer networks, better parts availability, and stronger brand recognition. Ducati, Yamaha, Honda, and Kawasaki all offered competitive alternatives with advantages Kagava simply couldn't match. Kagava's limited resources meant the Raptor couldn't receive the constant updates and improvements necessary to stay competitive in a rapidly evolving market segment. While competitors introduced new technology and refined their offerings, the Raptor remained essentially unchanged throughout its production run. Consumer reports noted the Raptor's appeal to enthusiasts, but highlighted its limited dealer network and questionable long-term viability. Potential buyers often chose competitors with better support and stronger resale values. The Raptor never generated the sales volume necessary to sustain Kagava's operations or fund development of new models. Kagava ceased motorcycle production in 2012, focusing instead on MV Agusta ownership. Number 11. Muz Scorpion, 1994 to 2002. The Muz Scorpion represented an ambitious attempt to create an affordable, reliable motorcycle that could compete with established manufacturers through superior value proposition. Built around a proven Yamaha single-cylinder engine, the Scorpion promised German engineering quality at a reasonable price point. But budget positioning in a premium market segment proved to be financial suicide for a company without adequate resources. Muz designed the Scorpion as a versatile single-cylinder motorcycle that could handle everything from daily commuting to weekend touring. The Yamaha XT600 engine was proven, reliable, and readily available, providing a solid foundation that should have guaranteed mechanical dependability. The engineering was competent, the build quality was reasonable, and the price was genuinely attractive compared to alternatives. On paper, the Scorpion should have succeeded in markets where riders prioritize value over prestige or brand recognition. But here's what Muz didn't understand. Budget motorcycles need massive volume sales to generate meaningful profit, and volume sales require brand recognition and marketing support that Muz simply didn't have. The Scorpion faced direct competition from BMW's F650, which offered similar performance with superior brand prestige and dealer support. Yamaha's own XT models provided the same engine with better parts availability and established service networks. Muz's extremely limited marketing budget meant the Scorpion remained virtually invisible to most potential customers. The few riders who discovered the bike often chose competitors due to concerns about long-term support and resale value. The financial model that made the Scorpion possible also made it unprofitable. Low margins required high-volume sales that Muz couldn't achieve without significant marketing investment they couldn't afford. Consumer reports praised the Scorpion's value proposition, but questioned Muz's viability as a manufacturer. Muz stopped production after 2002, unable to generate the sales volume necessary to sustain operations. Number 10. Labrada 750S, 1997 to 2002. Labrada built their legendary reputation on powerful, reliable triple-cylinder engines that dominated endurance racing and satisfied the most demanding riders worldwide. Their motorcycles were synonymous with mechanical excellence and engineering integrity that justified premium pricing. But the 750S represented a fundamental betrayal of everything that made Labrada special in the motorcycle world. Instead of developing a new engine worthy of the Labrada name and heritage, the company made a catastrophic decision to use an outdated, unreliable power plant that would destroy their reputation for mechanical excellence. The 750S featured a parallel twin engine based on an obsolete design that was rough, unreliable, and completely unsuited to Labrada's performance image. The engine vibrated excessively at all RPM ranges, leaked oil regularly, and required frequent, expensive maintenance that exceeded what most riders considered reasonable. Consumer reports were absolutely devastating for the brand. Motorcycle magazines that had previously praised Labrada motorcycles were forced to criticize the 750S for poor performance, excessive vibration, and reliability issues that seemed inexcusable from a company with Labrada's engineering heritage. Here's what made this particularly tragic. Labrada chose this inferior engine specifically to reduce manufacturing costs, completely failing to understand that their customers paid premium prices specifically for superior engineering and performance. The 750S competed against Japanese and European motorcycles that offered better performance, superior reliability, and significantly lower maintenance costs. Riders who might have accepted higher prices for exceptional engineering couldn't justify paying premiums for inferior products. Quality control problems plagued the model throughout its production run, with warranty claims mounting rapidly as engines failed prematurely. Labrada dealers found themselves constantly servicing problematic motorcycles that generated customer dissatisfaction rather than loyalty. Labrada's struggles continued until Aprilia ceased the brand by 2004. The 750S wasn't solely responsible for Labrada's demise, but its failure to meet customer expectations accelerated the company's decline and made recovery impossible. Number 9. Cannondale MX400, 2001. Cannondale was internationally famous for innovative bicycle design and manufacturing excellence that had revolutionized cycling. Their entry into motorcycles should have leveraged those considerable strengths to create genuinely competitive motocross bikes. Instead, the MX400 became a textbook example of how expertise in one area doesn't automatically translate to success in a completely different market. Cannondale approached motorcycle development with the same innovative thinking that had made them bicycle industry leaders. The MX400 featured a 400cc four-stroke engine and design elements borrowed directly from their bicycle expertise, including lightweight construction techniques and innovative engineering solutions. But motocross bikes operate in environments and conditions that bicycles never encounter, and Cannondale's design philosophy simply couldn't handle the transition to motorcycle manufacturing. The MX400 suffered from numerous fundamental design flaws that became apparent immediately in real-world use. The engine mapping was completely incorrect, causing poor power delivery and serious reliability issues. The electrical system was inadequately protected from dirt, moisture, and the harsh conditions typical of motocross riding. Motocross Action magazine delivered brutal reviews that highlighted the MX400's fundamental problems in devastating detail. The bike was notoriously difficult to start, unreliable in competition, and expensive to maintain compared to established competitors from Honda, Yamaha, and KTM. The problems extended far beyond simple engineering issues. Cannondale had severely underestimated the complexity of motorcycle manufacturing, distribution, and service support. Their dealer network wasn't equipped to service motorcycles, parts availability was problematic, and technical support was completely inadequate. The financial model was fundamentally flawed from the beginning. Cannondale had invested heavily in development and manufacturing without understanding the profit margins necessary to sustain motorcycle operations in an extremely competitive market. Consumer reports were universally negative across all major publications. Riders reported frequent breakdowns, expensive repairs, and poor dealer support that made ownership a frustrating experience. The few MX400s that reached customers often spent more time in service departments than on actual tracks. Cannondale's motorcycle venture ended in complete bankruptcy in January 2003, proving that innovation without understanding market requirements inevitably leads to financial disaster. Number 8. Energica Ego, 2013 to 2024. The Energica Ego represented the absolute cutting edge of electric motorcycle technology and seemed positioned to establish Energica as the undisputed leader in electric motorcycle development for the next generation of riders. The motorcycle featured genuinely impressive specifications that could rival traditional gasoline superbikes. 107 horsepower, 159-mile range, and acceleration that could embarrass established superbikes from major manufacturers. The technology was sophisticated, the build quality was excellent, and the performance was genuinely impressive for early electric motorcycles. Consumer reports consistently praised the Ego's capabilities while questioning Energica's long-term business model and financial sustainability. Cycle News and other publications highlighted the motorcycle's technical achievements but noted the company's ongoing financial instability. But here's what ultimately killed Energica. Exceptional engineering and impressive performance couldn't overcome fundamental economic realities that made the business unsustainable. The Ego's production costs were absolutely astronomical compared to conventional motorcycles. Each motorcycle required expensive lithium battery packs, sophisticated electronic components, and manufacturing processes that far exceeded traditional motorcycle production costs. The retail price reflected these enormous expenses, making the Ego accessible only to wealthy enthusiasts willing to pay premium prices for cutting-edge electric technology that remained largely unproven in real-world conditions. The market for expensive electric motorcycles proved to be much smaller than Energica had projected in their business plans. While early adopters appreciated the Ego's capabilities, mainstream motorcycle riders remained committed to gasoline motorcycles that offered superior range, established infrastructure, and proven reliability. Energica's extremely limited production volume meant they couldn't achieve the economies of scale that might have reduced costs and improved profitability. Each Ego sold actually represented significant financial loss rather than profit, creating a devastating cycle where increased sales actually worsened the company's financial position. Charging infrastructure limitations severely reduced the Ego's practical utility, especially in the United States, where long-distance travel capabilities remain crucial for motorcycle sales and customer satisfaction. Energica entered bankruptcy judicial liquidation in October 2024, ending operations despite producing genuinely impressive motorcycles that represented legitimate technological advancement. Number 7. Fuel Flow, 2023. The Fuel Flow promised to revolutionize urban transportation with innovative electric motorcycle technology and design philosophy that prioritized practicality over traditional motorcycle aesthetics and performance metrics. Founded by Eric Buell, a legendary motorcycle designer with decades of experience creating innovative bikes for brands like Harley-Davidson and his own Buell Motorcycle Company, Fuel seemed uniquely positioned to succeed where other electric motorcycle startups had failed spectacularly. Eric Buell's involvement generated significant media attention and initial investor interest. His reputation for innovative design and engineering excellence suggested that Fuel could overcome the numerous challenges that had defeated other electric motorcycle startups attempting to break into this emerging market. But here's what ultimately destroyed Fuel. Even legendary designers with proven track records can't overcome fundamental business realities and market conditions that make success virtually impossible. The Follow's development costs exceeded initial projections by enormous margins, while market demand fell far below the optimistic expectations that had attracted initial investment and media coverage. The urban mobility market that seemed so promising on paper proved surprisingly resistant to electric motorcycles that couldn't match traditional options on price, performance, practicality, or established infrastructure support. Production scaling problems plagued the company from the very beginning of manufacturing operations. Manufacturing costs remained stubbornly high, while quality control issues created expensive warranty problems that drained already limited financial resources. Consumer reports on Electrek and other publications noted persistent delivery delays and obvious financial instability that made potential buyers increasingly hesitant to commit to a company with questionable long-term viability. The financial model collapsed with devastating speed. Initial funding proved completely insufficient for sustainable operations. Revenue from Flow sales couldn't even approach covering basic operating expenses, let alone development costs for future models. Fuel filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy in October 2023, ending operations after spending millions on development and production of motorcycles that couldn't generate sufficient revenue to sustain the business. Number 6. Alta Motors Redshift, 2015 to 2018. The Alta Motors Redshift represented everything right about electric motorcycle development and seemed to prove that electric motorcycles could genuinely compete with traditional gasoline-powered alternatives in demanding off-road conditions. The motorcycle offered genuinely impressive performance, innovative battery and motor technology, and riding characteristics that impressed motorcycle journalists, professional riders, and industry experts who had been skeptical about electric motorcycle viability. The Redshift featured cutting-edge electric powertrain technology that delivered performance genuinely comparable to traditional motocross bikes. The battery technology was advanced for its time, the electric motor was powerful and responsive, and the overall package was legitimately competitive with gasoline alternatives. Consumer reports were overwhelmingly positive across major publications. Cycle World praised the Redshift's performance and noted its genuine potential to revolutionize motocross and off-road riding. Professional riders reported that the electric powertrain offered distinct advantages in certain riding conditions. But here's what ultimately killed Alta Motors. Positive reviews and impressive technology don't automatically translate to profitable sales or sustainable business operations. The electric motorcycle market between 2015 and 2018 remained nascent, with extremely limited consumer acceptance and completely inadequate charging infrastructure that made electric motorcycles impractical for most potential buyers. Even riders who genuinely appreciated the Redshift's capabilities and performance often chose traditional gasoline bikes due to familiarity, established dealer support networks, and proven reliability that electric alternatives couldn't yet match. Alta's production costs remained prohibitively high throughout the Redshift's entire production run. The sophisticated technology that made the bike impressive also made it extremely expensive to manufacture compared to conventional alternatives. Competition from established manufacturers with vastly superior resources created additional challenges that Alta couldn't overcome. As companies like KTM and Husqvarna developed their own electric bikes, Alta faced competitors with advantages in funding, distribution, and brand recognition. Alta Motors ceased operations in October 2018, unable to secure additional funding despite producing motorcycles that genuinely impressed riders and industry experts. Technical excellence couldn't overcome market realities that made the company fundamentally unsustainable. Number 5. Excelsior Henderson SuperX, 1999. Excelsior Henderson spent 7 years and $100 million developing the SuperX to compete with Harley-Davidson. Instead, they created one of the most expensive failures in history. The SuperX faced quality control problems immediately. Production delays frustrated customers. When motorcycles reached buyers, many required immediate warranty work. Consumer reports highlighted its inability to match Harley's build quality or brand prestige. The cruiser market proved resistant to new entrants without compelling advantages. Excelsior Henderson filed for bankruptcy in December 1999 after producing fewer than 2,000 motorcycles. Before we reveal the top 4 motorcycles that murdered their manufacturers, hit that subscribe button. We're about to expose the most catastrophic failures in motorcycle history, including one that nearly bankrupted a Japanese giant. Number 4. Indian Aero and Scout, 1949 to 1953. Indian Motorcycle Company was America's oldest manufacturer with heritage dating to 1901. By 1949, their reputation for powerful, reliable motorcycles remained intact. Then they abandoned everything that made Indian special for lightweight motorcycles nobody wanted. The 220cc Aero and 440cc Scout were designed to attract new riders and compete with European imports. But Indian customers bought Indians specifically because they weren't small or economical. Traditional buyers wanted large, powerful motorcycles for American distances. The Aero and Scout appealed to riders already choosing European bikes, exactly the wrong market for a premium manufacturer. Development costs diverted resources from traditional big bike markets. Indian declared bankruptcy in 1953, ending 52 years of production. Number 3. Bimota Vidu, 1997 to 2005. Bimota built their reputation on exotic, high-performance motorcycles. The Vidu was supposed to represent their technological pinnacle with revolutionary fuel injection technology. Instead, it became a reliability disaster that bankrupted one of motorcycling's most prestigious brands. The Vidu featured a 500cc V-twin two-stroke with direct fuel injection, promising racing performance with street reliability. But revolutionary technology only works if you can make it reliable. The fuel injection system was plagued with problems. Engine seizures occurred regularly. Power delivery was inconsistent with intermittent failures, leaving riders stranded. Consumer reports were devastating. Owner forums documented recalls and widespread dissatisfaction, with motorcycles costing over $30,000 that couldn't be ridden reliably. Bimota planned 500 Vidus but managed only 388 before problems became too expensive. Each motorcycle represented a financial loss. Bimota declared bankruptcy in March 2001, directly attributable to the Vidu's failure. Number 2. BSA Aerial 3, 1970 to 1974. BSA was Britain's largest motorcycle manufacturer, surviving 2 world wars and dominating global markets. BSA seemed invincible. Then they bet the company's future on a 3-wheeled moped nobody wanted. BSA invested £2 million in development, equivalent to £26.5 million today, making the Aerial 3 one of their most expensive projects ever. But they completely misunderstood their market. The 3-wheel design created stability problems rather than solving them. The narrow front track made it unstable in crosswinds and dangerous in emergencies. Pricing was wrong. BSA positioned it as a premium product with motorcycle pricing, but customers couldn't justify paying motorcycle prices for a vehicle with obvious limitations. Sales were catastrophic compared to projections. BSA found themselves with expensive facilities producing vehicles dealers couldn't sell. BSA ceased production in 1973, ending Britain's largest motorcycle manufacturer. Number 1. Suzuki RE5, 1974 to 1976. Here's the most shocking failure in history, a single model that nearly bankrupted one of Japan's largest manufacturers and changed an entire company forever. The Suzuki RE5 wasn't just a failed motorcycle, it was a corporate disaster so severe it nearly destroyed Suzuki's motorcycle division entirely. Suzuki developed the RE5 when rotary engines seemed to represent the future. The RE5 featured a single-rotor Wankel engine, producing smooth, turbine-like power, unlike any motorcycle of its era. But revolutionary technology means nothing if customers can't afford to own it. The RE5's rotary engine consumed fuel at shocking rates. Gas mileage was so poor that practical range was severely limited, especially during the 1970s fuel crisis when economy became crucial. Maintenance requirements were astronomical. The rotary engine required specialized knowledge, expensive parts, and frequent service most dealers couldn't provide. Routine maintenance costs exceeded luxury car levels. Reliability problems plagued the RE5 from the beginning. Rotary seals failed regularly, leading to expensive rebuilds often costing more than the motorcycle's value. Production costs were crushing Suzuki's profitability. Each RE5 required expensive manufacturing processes. The retail price made it uncompetitive against traditional motorcycles. Sales fell far below projections as word spread about problems. Dealers couldn't sell motorcycles requiring expensive service and generating customer complaints. Suzuki faced potential bankruptcy as losses mounted. Development costs were enormous. Production costs per unit were so high that each sale represented a financial loss. The company's salvation came from conventional motorcycles like the GS750, generating revenue to absorb RE5 losses. But financial damage was severe, forcing Suzuki to abandon rotary development entirely. Suzuki discontinued the RE5 in 1976 after producing fewer than 6,000 units worldwide. The motorcycle supposed to revolutionize the industry instead nearly destroyed the company that created it. But if you want to see more catastrophic motorcycle failures, check out our video on 23 motorcycles that got recalled after catastrophic failures. Because after learning about these 13 brand killers, you deserve to know which bikes were so dangerous they had to be pulled from the market entirely.